Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Sorry, I am a couple minutes behind my normal 9 a.m., which is, to be honest, sometimes 9:15, 9:30. But then I usually say that I am coming on a little bit later. Sorry, a little bit odd start here. Sorry. So today, what I would like to talk about is the area of where my coaching is primarily focused. So, as a consultant and a coach, I do change management consulting, I do leadership development consulting, and then I also just coach. I coach individuals, I coach leaders, and my coaching is really around something that I want to share with you. When you're in back-to-back meetings, when you're working most evenings after dinner or after the kids go to bed, when you're so tired at the end of your workday that you collapse into the couch, onto the bed, and are not even, have the energy to create a healthy dinner. Dinner tends to be whatever is easiest. There was someone I was talking to over the weekend who was like, if they're not making dinner for their spouse, they grab whatever's easiest. And that tends to show after a while. If your exercise routine has either become really random or only on the weekend or maybe even non-existent, something needs to change. And maybe you're starting to see that or feel that. Your body will keep score. If you power through over and 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 over, your body will keep score. Some of the random things that you think are happening that may seem random, an injury, your body is sending you a signal to slow down. Maybe you can't even imagine cutting back your hours. I spoke to someone last weekend who I was talking to about this kind of focus for my coaching. And he said, yeah, you don't want to cut, you don't feel like you can cut back because you're going to let people down. You're going to let your company down. You're going to and whether that's your own business or an organization you work for, you're afraid you're going to let your company down, your boss, your peers, your team, your family. And I get that. That really struck a chord with me. I got a little emotional, to be perfectly honest with you, because letting people down is something that kind of is a little triggering for me. And when we are in that constant go, 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 go mode, we are not giving our best to the organization. They are not getting your genius. They are not getting your creativity, your innovativeness, your zone of genius. I don't remember the book now that talks about that. Hang on, I'm going to turn this. I wasn't sure if that might be making noise. I have a fan or a heater in here. When you're going Mach 10 with your hair on fire, as the movie, no, I can't even think of the name of the movie. You're not giving your best to the organization. They're not getting the best of you. And you're probably not even able to give your best to your family, the people that you care about the most. You're afraid you're going to drop all those plates. If you cut back hours, you're going to cut back, you're going to not deliver. You're not going to have the same level of success. You'll be judged by your peers. These are all things that when I share with people, what if you cut back a bit, not worked on weekends, not worked every evening? And I've had a couple of instances of people I've talked to. I had a one-on-one with someone earlier in, I think it was like November timeframe, and I was actually on her podcast, and she made the decision. She's like, you know what, I am working too many hours. She would work most evenings after her daughter went to bed and worked until probably midnight. So she'd work up until her daughter got home, make dinner, spent a little time with the family. And then as soon as dinner was over and her daughter and, the evening was done and her daughter went to bed, she worked until midnight, so 7:30, 8 o'clock, she started and worked again until midnight. And what she told me just last week was that she made the decision to finish work at 4:30 every day. And I don't know what time she starts, 7:30, 8. But she made the decision that was it, every day, 4:30. That's the time she had to work. And she has her own business. And she decided no more work after her daughter went to bed. She started doing puzzles. And she said she gets more done. She's more productive, more focused, and her business is growing. She is, by her words, more successful, more productive, more focused by cutting back her hours. By doing less, she's doing more. Someone else I talked to, a client of mine, a coaching client of mine, actually was someone who is an executive leader level person, and they have to be on call like once every 3-4 weeks. And even on the weeks when they weren't on call, they kind of put themselves on call, that they were checking all of any of the on-call kind of messages. They would tune into any of the on-call calls where people were discussing what needed to be done, and really inserted themselves into every on-call weekend. And so I encouraged them to not do that anymore. That was one of the steps, was no longer being on call when they weren't on call. And they said it was challenging. It was challenging not to check the phone, not to check the email, not to sit down on the computer and hop on the calls that were happening, and to really, they were able to set the boundaries ahead of time and let people know that this is what they were going to do. And it was fine. Everything was fine. And they did this for several weeks when they weren't on call. And one time they did have a pretty significant emergency that they had to, when they weren't on call and they had an emergency with their location that they needed to participate in, and then they did. They also started to create some space of the evenings, just like this other woman I know, this other business owner I know, and the same thing. They said they were able to feel more, it caused them to be just that much more focused when they were at work. They actually started to say no to some meetings. They started to not volunteer for everything that, excuse me, that when the vice president asked, we need a volunteer to do A, B, C, D, this person always raised their hand. And they were able to stop being that person, that go-to person all the time. They let, several of their other peers take some of that burden on. So these are some strategies that you can use to get your life back, because that's what I'm hearing. People I want my life back. They're starting to see maybe some illnesses creeping in, or maybe challenges with the gut, challenges with, shoulder pain or injuries. These are the kinds of things that creep in, that start to happen when you push your body too far too long. And when you push your body too far too long, the other thing that can happen is more serious illnesses can start to creep in, whether they're chronic illnesses, different things. Your body does keep score. And so if you're starting to see that, you want more energy, you want to improve your health, you want to have a life and the success that you're having, you can have both. It takes conscious effort. It takes time. A couple of the strategies I talked about so far were: one, picking an end time to your day and not checking email, not getting back online after dinner, if you eat dinner, which you should. Second one is, if you don't need to be in every meeting, start to figure out how to extract yourself from certain things. I heard last night at a networking event, somebody talked about, and I always say delegate, ditch. What's the other one I use? Delegate, ditch, or something. So I use different words, but he said automate, delegate, eliminate. Are there things that can be automated? And maybe you have someone on your team who is very talented at automating certain things. Maybe the reports that you're pulling in, maybe there's a way to automate those. Is there a way to delegate? And in the book, 10X is Easier Than 2X, I really love that book, and I've listened to it a couple times now, and I'm going to listen to it again. What is your zone of genius? What do you need to be doing? And what can you get other people to do that is their zone of genius? A little bit different frame than just delegating a task and training someone to do it. But if there's things that other people need, that other people could be doing, whether it's delegation or just thinking about what is the zone of genius on my team? As a leader, what is the zone of genius for each person on my team, and what is my own zone of genius? And am I doing most of my work in that zone of genius? Can I eliminate or delegate some of the things that are on my list? I've got a couple different ways that you can do that. DM me if you're interested in doing that assessment and going through. I actually have an online, a 3-part series, and it's free right now. In the next couple of weeks, it will be a very low cost kind of entry, low cost offer to do this 3-part series. It's very short. The videos are like 10 minutes. But if you want to go through and take this look at what's all the things that I'm doing and where do I want to do more of? Where do I want to do less of? And I use the word want. I'm very tempted to say, where do I need? But that need creates a mental perspective of scarcity. And so I don't want, when we get into that scarcity mindset, there's not enough time, there's not enough time, there's not enough time. We're not really looking at what are the things that are going to make the needle move. What are the things that are in my zone of genius and that are going to have the greatest impact on the results that I'm trying to make as an individual, that my team is trying to make, and that the organization is trying to make. So can you pick an ending time and commit to that give it a week. Pick an end time to your day and commit to it for a week and see if you can eliminate the after hours work. Secondly, are there things you can automate? Third thing, can you delegate? Fourth thing, what can you eliminate? And a lot of that comes back to those 3, what can you automate, delegate, or eliminate, comes back to doing that assessment of what is everything that you've got going on personally and professionally, kind of categorizing it and seeing where can you make a shift. Because there's so many successful people who are working fewer hours. I mean, I know several of them. I know lots of them. I know people making, $100 million in their company and working 3 days a week and not even working 8 hours those 3 days. So there's ways to do it. If you, like I said, if you want more energy, if you want to improve your health, if you want to finally have success and a life, all by cutting back your hours at work and focusing the time that's there on the things that really matter and that you're the best at, that are your gifts, your talents, let's talk. DM me, let's get together. But I hope this was helpful in seeing how you might start to make a shift. And if you've got questions, please DM me as well. And if you'd like to set up a time to chat to see how coaching can help you get your life back and cut back a little bit on those hours. I'm not saying you have to work 3 days a week, and working 8 or 9 hours a day rather than 10 to 12 to 14, which I know there are people that do that most days. Let's talk.